Okay guys, to complete the explanation about causative verbs, so as I had already told you, the causative verb have, this verb implies that you are paying for a service, right? So in these examples, when I say I will have Fausto do my taxes, or why didn't you have someone cater the lunch if you didn't have the time, or I had the dentist fill my teeth last November. In all of these cases, I am implying that I am paying for this service, right? It's not for free. Now, we have on the other hand the causative verb get. The causative verb get implies that you are convincing or manipulating someone to do something for you, right? Some people are really good at manipulating people to get them to do something for them, right? Now, the active construction is a little different. You'll observe that there's a tiny detail that is different in the active construction of the causative verb have and the active construction of the causative verb get. So, we are going to use the causative verb get. We are going to use the action doer, right? The person who renders the service. And we are going to use the infinitive and then the service provided. So as you can see, this time we are not using a base form. This time we use an infinitive and then the service provided. I will get the police officer to let us go with a warning. So what am I implying? I am implying that somehow I'm going to try to convince the police officer so that he or she lets us go with only a warning, right? How did Kevin get the teacher to accept to move the evaluation date? So Kevin did not pay the teacher to move the evaluation date, right? So maybe Kevin found a way to convince the teacher. Maybe the teacher, I don't know, maybe the teacher is his sister, right? You never know. Maybe the teacher is his aunt or a distant cousin. I don't know. There might be many reasons why Kevin may convince the teacher to move the evaluation date. I will get Mama to buy me that blouse. Again, you are going to kind of manipulate your mother, right? You're going to make those puppy eyes in order for her to buy you a blouse. And I want you to check how this pattern is repeated, right? Get plus the action doer, right? The person who is going to render the service, and then the infinitive, and then the service provided. See, get, the doer of the service, the infinitive, yes, and the actual service is to let us go, right? Here we have get, yes, the action doer, the action being done is by the teacher is again in the infinitive, and the same with this example with the mama, right? Get, the doer of the service, and the infinitive for the action is right here. That is the difference in the meaning and the difference in the wording of the causative have and the causative get. The causative get in the active causative is going to use an infinitive. In the passive construction, on the other hand, you will see that basically the patterns are the same. You are going to use, of course, you are going to keep the new causative verb, okay? We are going to use the causative verb get, of course. We are not going to use the causative verb have. So you're going to use this verb, but then you're going to use the service provided. You are going to use the past participle, and if there is an agent, you are going to use it as well, depending on whether you want to include it or you should include it or not, right? So I will get us let gone with a warning, okay? So I am using the verb get, the service provided, which is us being let gone, right? Here we are using the past participle, yes, of the action of the service being done for us, and I'm not using the agent this time. I decided not to include it, but because I assume that we already had the context, yes, so we understand that who is going to let us go with a warning. How did Kevin get the evaluation rescheduled? We again have the verb get, we have the service rendered, the evaluation, and this verb that complements what was done with the service, right, in the past participial form, rescheduled. And I didn't include the by the teacher. Again, I didn't consider it was relevant at this point. And then we have I will get that blouse bought for me. Again, the verb get, the thing that I want, and the verb for this service in the past participial form, right? And again, I am not using the agent, although I could use it if I decided to. And basically, have and get are the principal causative verbs that we use, but of course we have some others, right? Here we have a couple more causative constructions. Yes, they also show certain nuances. They also have certain notes that make them a little different from the rest. From the other two causative verbs. We have the causative make or force, right? They are basically transmitting the same idea, and you use them when you force someone to do something. Yes, the example is the voices made me do it, right? As you can see here, we are not going to use the infinitive. We are going to use the base form of the verb, just like with the active causative with have. Let, you permit someone to do something. See, in this case, it's not that the people are gonna do something for you, but you are going to allow it to happen. I'll let you take me to lunch if you behave, right? Like I'm doing a favor for that person right now. I wanna go, but I want to pretend that I am doing you a favor. I let you take me to lunch if you behave. Again, I'm not using the infinitive, I'm using the base form, and you can observe that the structure is basically the same. And then we have the verb help, shows that you assist someone to do something. I'm going to help you. In this case, it's optional. You can say help you to finish that cake, or I'm going to help you finish that cake. Yes, that is a huge sacrifice that I am going to take to help you finish the cake, right? And now I have some sentences, right, to give you an idea of how we can be using these causatives. If you need help to fix your personal computer, you could say something along the lines of what? Trying to use causatives. You could say, I am going to have my PC fixed. Or you could say something like, I am going to have Compu Global Hyper Meganet fix my computer, right? A wink for all the Simpsons fans. What would someone tell their best friend if they plan to convince the person who has an obvious crush on them to buy them lunch? What is the nuance? To convince, right? You're trying to convince someone, maybe manipulate another person a little. You could say something like, I will get Ryan to buy me lunch at La Pampa. Wanna come? So it implies some sort of manipulation, some sort of convincing to do something, right? What would you say, again using causatives, if somebody hurt your dog and you want to threaten the person who did it? What could you say in such a case, such a horrible situation? You could say something like, I will make you suffer for this. You'll be sorry, right? Not such a nice person, right? But you know, you don't want to be hurting poor animals either, right? So guys, with this I finish my explanation on causative verbs. As you can see, causative verbs are very simple to understand, that they require some practice, of course, like everything in English. If you don't practice enough, this is going to be a little troublesome. But the more you practice using this structure, the more easy it comes for us to use. And the importance for this structure is lies on standardized tests. I have noticed in the latest standardized tests, that is TOEIC and TOEFL, that specifically TOEIC, to be honest, that there are some questions regarding the causative verbs, especially the difference between using the active causative have and the active causative get. You see, when we have to use the infinitive or not. I can observe these kind of situations going on in TOEIC, so it might come handy when you have to take this test, and that's why I decided to also include it in our topics to be studied in this semester. Okay, guys, go ahead, please. You can go to our virtual classroom. There are exercises for you to do. I encourage you to do them, right? Otherwise, I will find you and make you do your homework, right? Have a nice one, people. I'll see you around.